My prayer is that one day you will look at yourself and you will feel God pat you on the back and said, you've got absolute devotion for me. How many of you like to see that? You like to see God pat you on the back and say, well done, my son. Well done, my daughter. You have an absolute devotion for me. That'd be good. Last Sunday, we looked at purpose-driven life, and we shared about 10 things that a purpose-driven life will set their mind to achieve. And I want to say that either you are here tonight listening to me or you are watching these through our streaming network on the internet, what I'm trying to demonstrate to us tonight is that there is a journey that those who count themselves to be on the side of God, there's a journey they go through. If we can understand this journey, it will help us to walk with God better. The title of my message tonight is Help During Problems. There is help during problems. Get it right, brethren. We are not going to be set free from problems as long as we are here on earth. When you listen to the budgets today, one of the things that I kept listening to, and I was happy when some people were being interviewed, ordinary people. In fact, Sky News got it so right. They went to somewhere outside of London, I can't remember exactly where it is, somewhere called Economy Street. That was where they went and stationed their live coverage for the whole of the day. So on Economy Street, they are broadcasting live, analyzing the budgets that the chancellor was releasing. So there was, it was just so funny. Trust guys. Fantastic coverage. What better street would they get to go and do it? I must say there must budget street somewhere. Maybe a budget street will have beat that. But I listened to a guy who owns a fish and chip shop. They interviewed him. He said, for the first time, he carefully listened to the chancellor explain what he's trying to do with the nation and with the economy of the nation. He said, were your hopes met? He was asked. He said, no. What he was expecting was a cut in VAT. But he said, I didn't get a cut in VAT, but I got one or two other things that I think is going to be beneficial for me. In fact, for the first time, I am encouraged after this budget to go and employ one staff. What am I saying? So many people will sit down and listen to that budget and they'll feel so depressed. They'll feel so broken. They'll feel so in despair. But if you are very careful to listen to the meaning of some of those things that are being thrown out and being shared with us, you can tell that there is a light that is down the tunnel. For every single one of us, I so believe that God is helping out of all those challenges. All those economic woes that people are predicting that are soon going to come and cave in and swallow all of us up, guess what? You are coming out of them in the name of Jesus Christ. There is a way out that God has set ahead of you. My prayer is that God will walk you through them in the name of Jesus Christ. The same way there are economic problems, there are problems that relate to each and every one of us. And that's what we want to look at. Everyone has troubles. Everyone. Look at me as I'm standing here preaching. I've got mega problems. As I'm looking at you, radiant, good looking, wonderful looking, I know you've got problems. You don't need to tell me. You don't need to even try to make me be aware. Every one of us, we face problems, affliction, suffering, and hardship. One thing or the other comes against us. And we need strength, we need endurance, we need patience to go through all these things that we go through. My question is, why do people suffer? Why do people go through challenges? Are there reasons that you can spell out? There are 4 questions we're going to ask ourselves tonight that is going to help us to look at this subject of troubles as I've talked about it, and we're going to see how best we can deal with this issue so that we can best know how to tackle them. Because like I said, don't forget, as long as we are alive, there'll be issues. There'll be challenges. There'll be problems. There'll be difficulties. In fact, as you're getting out of one, another one is waiting. The first question is, why do people suffer? Have you ever considered, why do people go through problems? There are several reasons that we can pick point. Number one reason why people go through problems is because of their sins. Their own sins. The sin that they are the ones that caused. They are the one who sinned. The Bible said, he who sinned must certainly be judged. And there are various examples of people that we can look at in the Bible. King Saul lived a miserable life and eventually was slain because he had rebelled against God. He lived his life, all his life, not appreciating how God exalted him above the whole of Israel and made him king over them. He veered his way away from God, and the Bible says God certainly punished him. First Chronicles, you see that? First Chronicles 10:13. Judas was killed. Judas killed himself because he had betrayed Jesus. Once he collected those bribes, and then he betrayed Jesus, his heart, his conscience didn't leave him scot-free. I once preached a while back that your conscience, you cannot manipulate your conscience. You can't. You can manipulate your brain to believe something else. You can manipulate your heart to believe something else. But your conscience is a subsection of your heart. You can't control it. That's why you do something wrong and you have what English people call guilty conscience. You just can't rest. It's breaking you. And all those things. Judas had guilty conscience. He betrayed Jesus. He collected the money in secret. But the Bible said he started walking around. In fact, he tried to go and return the money. Said, this money, this evil money you gave me, take your money. The Bible, they said, no. It's your money. It now belongs to you. We don't want it anymore. You've done what we want you to do. We have paid you, so go and use the money to do anything. He couldn't even spend the money. He went and killed himself. Matthew 27:3-5. People go through problems or suffer because of their own sin. In today's life, you see people, not only in the Bible, somebody who is alcoholic, for example, they may catch up with diseases. Somebody who smoke anyhow, they may become, somebody who fall into some sickness or the other. A person who steals or who is a thief, when caught, can be in prison. People who sin go through problems. Another reason why people go through problems is that innocent people sometimes go through problems or suffer because of other people's sins. Do you believe that? Yeah. This may be as a result of cruelty or accident. Somebody who is just standing by the roadside at the bus stop where they are supposed to stand, waiting for their bus. A drunken driver, senseless driver, went and ran into them and killed and sniffed off life out of them. Somebody who violently attacked people who own things for themselves, broke into people's house and steal their belongings. Those are evil people. They are making innocent people suffer. So sometimes good people, innocent people suffer because of the sins of other people. In other cases, wicked people may harm righteous people because they resent them. Sometimes when you see some evil people trying to be wicked to righteous people, it's just because they can't stand them. They just can't stand the fact that they are okay. So they resent them. This is a kind of religious persecution. It's described in 1 Peter 2:19 to 23. Various ways how we can have religious persecution. Some people just, the day you tell them you are a Christian, you are picking up a bone of contention. From that day, they become wicked to you. Some people, the day they hear that something good is happening to you, they become your enemy. Why? Because they resent you. Jesus is an example of one who committed no sin at all, yet he was persecuted and killed by wicked men. So we may follow his example and suffer not for our fault, but when we do good. When you are doing good and people are persecuting you, you will not be the first one. And guess what? You're not going to be the last one. Another reason why people suffer is as a result of the sin of the day of creation, when Adam and Eve sinned. There's some hardship, pain, and problems that came from that fall of Adam and Eve onto mankind, and from that day is still there. God wanted man to have a blissful life, a wonderful life. Wake up in the morning, have a good time, enjoy, and just be inspired to do great things. And then at the cool of evening, God will come down and we'll just recount what we've done all day, telling tales to God. Wow, I saw the animals, I saw the leopard, I did this. Just having fun. But the day that sin came into that garden, the Bible said God separated his glory from man. And he sent man out of the garden, and he cursed the land for Adam's sake. All people since that time have endured these same problems. In particular, because of Adam, all people begin to die. Do you know that God created us to live forever? There was no supposed to be dead. We're supposed to be given birth to, and we'll continue to live, and continue to live, and continue to live, and continue to live, and continue to live. Never to die. Never to see death. But as soon as sin entered into the garden, the Bible says it separated God away from us. God was the one who kept us alive, and once God is separated, the end becomes inevitable. There's a proverb in my language that says, any river that forgets its source must surely do what? Must dry up. Any river, any sea must dry up. Adam and Eve forgot who was their life, their lifeline, and they were cut off from God. From that time, mankind begin to experience death. And it has continued to dwindle since then. I mean, who was that man that lived 960 something? Methuselah, is it? 960 what? 960 years or something like that. 69. 960. Can you imagine living 969 years? Just think about it for a second. Almost 1,000 years. Some of our grandmothers that were living 90-something, we are praying for them to die because they've become liabilities to everybody. They cannot carry their leg. They cannot do this. They cannot do that. But 969. My word. But since then, it's been dwindling. Dwindling. Why? Because as much as sin continues to increase, it is cutting short the lifespan of mankind. In fact, in the Bible, it was clearly stated that in the end times, it says the old will begin to bury the young. Why? Because of sin. Because of sin. What are we supposed to do? We must retrace our step back to God. Retrace our steps back to God. Much of the suffering people endure, therefore, cannot be attributed to any particular sin committed by anyone living now. It's not because you are sin. It's not because you experience sin. That's why something so bad is happening. It's because mankind has fallen away from God. It is just the common lot of mankind because sin is in the world. Sin has entered into the fabrics of everywhere. I went to a meeting yesterday, a pastor's meeting, and we had speaking to us two key and top speakers of the Evangelical Alliance who were enlightening us about what will happen and the changes that will take place when the bill on gay marriage is passed. People of God, it is almost impossible that bill is not going to be passed. In fact, more like what we were sitting down to learn yesterday was a kind of things we are going to be experiencing when it is passed. It's not if it's going to be passed, when it is passed. The only thing that can stop it from being passed down is if God says it won't be passed. They have so pushed it to a level where it is only a matter of time. We had examples. There was a drama that was put up. I wish I had recorded that drama, Dios. You guys can just do it for us here. There was a drama that was put up where a girl came back from school and said, "Hello, Mom." I said, "Can I go to a party being organized by my friend?" I said, yeah. By the way, are the mom and dad going to be at the party? Say yes. But one thing, Mom, she doesn't have mom and dad. She has dad and dad. Yeah. The mom said, I know. The dad and the grandfather. No. The dad and then another dad. So she's got two dads. So the woman went ballistic. But you know what? The girl thought it was natural. It was just okay. Our young people today, their mindset has become natural and, civil. There's nothing so wrong in it. You cannot tell your child that they should not sit in some lessons in school if they're telling them that dad and dad or mom and mom. You can't tell them, no, don't teach my son. You go to jail. I mean, they say, okay, pastors are going to be exempted. So somebody can say, if two people come to me, man and man, I should marry them. I can say, I'm not doing it. But what happened? The question is, what happens if somebody who has been in your church for 10 years, who's become real strong member, became such? Will you discriminate against them? Test cases. They were telling us how things are going to change. How we need to change our language. I have a question. Yeah. At the age 16, yeah. Yeah. So a 16-year-old can just call mom and, yeah, mom and dad. I just like to let you know that. By the way, I'm not really a man. I'm a lady. Anything could happen. What am I saying? The thing we are all experiencing today is not because you are sin or you have been sinning. Some of it is because mankind have fallen from God's glory. And it has exposed us to an arena where anything can just happen. The mind of man is bringing out evil in quantum. Now for these, much of the suffering people are enduring is therefore attributed to any particular sin committed by anyone now living. It is just the common lot of mankind that sin is living in the world, that sin is in the world. Though, this does not mean anyone teach that people today are born guilty of sin by Adam or will be eternally punished for it. We are just going through the repercussion of that fall. Another reason why people suffer is simply a temptation from Satan. Job 1:1-2. Can we just see that? The devil can have, he said, in the land of Uz, there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless, he was upright, he feared God, and he shunned evil. Verse 2. He had 7 sons, and there were 3 daughters. Verse 10 now. Let's go to verse 10. Verse 10. He says, have you not this? You know the discussion. He says, have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flock and his herd are spread throughout the land. He was just a good, sorted out man. I said, he said to God, you take away that thing that you have. On Sunday I was talking about cover. You take away the cover that you have upon him. If you not find him, that he will come against you. And God said, okay, I will take away the cover, but you know what? You must not touch his life. And the devil had a field day upon Job. My prayer is that the devil will not have a field day over you. At times, we suffer because the devil is just trying to tempt us, trying to check how much of faith we have with God. Job's suffering was a temptation from Satan. He hoped that because he was suffering, Job would turn away from God. I pray that what you are going through will not detach you away from God. It was only to test your faith. to test how strong you are. I love you more than anything. I love you. It's because you still have a car. The day the car had a punctured tire, will you still sing out love on M25 in snow? Snowing day. Will you curse God and say, who? Will you still sing how I love you? Many a times the devil comes to check what we profess. That thing you are talking about. When things are rosy, when things are good, when you have a job, when you have a house to go to. Today I was recounting to someone how one day, when I got my first rented room in this country, I remember that day, I moved out of where I was staying because I had to move out. And I had my whole life, one suitcase and one trolley. I had them with me at a bus stop. I sat in that bus stop like this. In fact, I can picture that bus stop in Rotherhithe. Rotherhithe, just by the bridge. I sat down there. I said, God, you know how much I love you. You have got to help me. If this night should come and I don't have a place, I'll be sleeping on the street. As I prayed that prayer, my phone rang. Guess what? My head of department rang. My head of department in church. I said, Tune, where are you? You just came to my mind and I just said, let me call you and just check on you. Where are you? How are you doing? You know, what's going on? I said, hey. I am homeless. Don't let us go to, I am homeless. I am in a bus stop now with my 2 bags. 1 suitcase and 1 trolley. He said, so where? I said, I don't have a place. He said, he made a phone call, called me back and said, he has somebody who has a room that he can rent out. I said, I take the room. I didn't even ask how much. How am I going to pay for it? I said, I take the room. That was how I got my first room in Camberwell. Behind that town hall in Camberwell. That high rise. I lived there before. In fact, it got burnt about maybe 4 years ago. I lived there. That was my first rented room in London. When I moved into that room, I just lied down and said, God, thank God for delivering me from being homeless. That was my first room. What am I saying to you? I'm saying that when you are going through these things, the devil just wants to check on you. Find out where you are. Job did not shake his faith. He stood where he loved God. The devil got tired of tempting him. I pray that you will outlast the devil. No matter what the devil throw at you, you will outlive the devil. After you have done all things, the Bible said, do what? Stand. Many of you stand until just at the tail end we give up. We give up. God doesn't want you to give up on any ground. Many other passages in the Bible teaches us that Satan is responsible for the suffering of other people. You see 2 Corinthians 12, 7 to 10. 2 Corinthians 12, 7 to 10. Luke 13, 16. Act 10, 13. Let's see the Act 10, 13. Acts 10, 13. Then a voice told him, get up, Peter, kill and eat. Kill and eat. You see that at that point, he was hungry. He wanted something to eat. He wanted badly to find something to eat. And the devil was trying to tempt him to eat what, he shouldn't eat really. Anytime you are going through challenges, first of all, identify what is the reason why this is happening to me. Lesson we should learn. There are lessons that we should learn from when we're going through challenges, when we're going through troubles. Suffering is not limited to those who are wicked. Amen? Suffering is not limited to those who are wicked. Not only people who are wicked alone suffer. But God is on the side of the righteous even when they are suffering. While you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, said what? I will be with you there. I will be with you in the valley of the shadow of death. When you are going through the tribulation, said, I will be with you inside there. The righteous and the wicked go through troubles. The only difference is that one has God with them, others don't have God with them. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were in the fiery furnace. Guess what? God entered it with them. He didn't send them in and went back at the gate. No, he went inside there with them. In fact, he converted the furnace into an air conditioning room. People thought they were suffering, but they were enjoying. They were enjoying. It follows then that if a person is suffering, he must have committed some sin he should repent of. That doesn't really, follow. This is what the theory of Job's friend. Disapproving the idea is the main theme of that book. The book of Job is trying to tell us one significant thing, that it is not a matter of sin that makes people go through problems. That is the subject matter of that thing. Even those who are close to God, but he was trying to make sure that there is a trust we must have in God, that he's standing with us at every time that we find ourselves in challenges. Another thing that we must learn is that we should not conclude that we have been guilty of sin every time we have any problems. Don't start